Hey friends, it's Dimitri with Discharge Streetwear. Today I'm going to show you 3 primary printing techniques that I use to get designs onto t-shirts, and I'll explain each one and why I use them, and maybe it will give you some tips and ideas for when you're making your designs. So the first shirt we have here is puff print, then we have normal screen printing, then we have discharge printing. So this is the only example I have of a puff print t-shirt, and I've only done it once. This is a t-shirt, Stop Communism, Central America. So if you don't know what that means, this is like something that was going on in the 1980s. Ronald Reagan was funding Contras, which were basically rebels fighting against communism in Central America. And then that was the whole Iran-Contra affair. And it was a big scandal in America at the time. So in my brand, I make a lot of references that reference Cold War, and this is one that I wanted to do. This is actually a real t-shirt that someone in his audience, when he was doing a speech or a rally or something like that, one of his audience members gave him a t-shirt, and there's a picture of him holding it. So what I did was I did a reboot of it because I had a lot of people that follow me. They wanted to have this t-shirt done. It's really funky and kind of cool. So this t-shirt is the puff print one, and as you could tell, it has very, very thick layered puffy ink on it. This is the only one I had. It's also a reject item. It has like a little, blemish right here, an error. Some of the ink was not laid on properly. But anyways, these kinds of prints, the puff prints, they're really good for doing kind of funky letters, like very simple designs. A very popular example of this is the Kanye West merch line. He did this kind of stuff a year or two ago, and a lot of his t-shirts have giant letters on them and these like very simple geometric designs and whatnot. So in my opinion, I think this is a really good printing method for simple designs and designs with giant letters on it, stuff like that. It's the one that's going to pop out the most, and it just looks really cool, and it has a very textured 3D tactile feel to it. So if you're going to do letters or something like that, this might be something that you want to consider. The way it works is that it's just ink, and then the printers, they put some additive in it, which makes the ink rise, and it gives it that 3-dimensional quality. And then next we have normal screen printing. Screen printing is the ink is placed on top of the t-shirt. It's still 3-dimensional compared to some other printing methods, but it's not as 3-dimensional as this one. It doesn't pop out as much. This one is really good for a large majority of printing that you're going to do. This is like 98% of the t-shirts I make is just normal screen printing. And with screen printing, you basically can get the most detail out of it if you're trying to do that. Here's a t-shirt that I'm restocking again. This is like a very popular one. I've made so many of these. This is like one of the most popular selling t-shirts. And screen printing, you can get like a lot of finer details in there. So if you tried to do this design with puff print, it wouldn't really work, because when the ink is rising and puffing out, it's gonna basically all merge and blend in together, and you wouldn't get any of this detail. This is why I'm making this video. So when you are making a design, you're gonna try to pick the most appropriate printing method. This one is the cheapest, I think, out of all of these as well. I don't know if I was charged more for the puff print. I think I was charged maybe the same, but but other print shops, they might charge more. I don't know how it works because it is an extra step. So this is like the basic, your go-to printing method for t-shirts and hoodies and whatnot. The last one I have here is called discharge printing. This is a really cool 5-year anniversary t-shirt I made. I'll kind of explain the design. So it is kind of referencing, that kind of military look where they print, all the information on their tags. Every piece of like military clothing, especially in the United States, they have like this very like industrial kind of look to it with the tags on the inside. So I thought, why not make that into a design? And some clothing, they have like, the the place where you put your name on the inside label, but I was like, oh, why don't I put my company name Rubashka on here? So this printing method, discharge printing, what's going on here is that this ink is completely flat. There's like no three-dimensional quality to it. Let's see if you can compare these two. So yeah, you can see how the ink is very puffy on here, and this one's like completely flat. The reason why it's completely flat is because the ink has basically seeped into the fibers and it has discolored the fibers in a way. With screen printing, the ink is on top of the fibers, but with discharge printing, it's dyed the fibers in. This method is the most durable out of all of these. If I wash these 1,000 times, you're gonna see this one more than you're gonna see any of these, because these will, over time, no matter how much you take care of t-shirts, they're gonna fade and crack the ink. But if you have, very good ink, you're gonna basically avoid that as much as possible, because there are t-shirts from the 80s with the prints and everything still intact, and the t-shirts from the 90s as well. But that depends on the quality of your ink and printers and the process. But with this one, because it's dyed, this design is not going anywhere. The only way really that it's going to fade is that it's still going to fade, but it's not going to be cracking and peeling away ever. The other thing that might happen with this over time, like just years and years, is that the fibers, they're gonna just get kind of loose and kind of, fuzzy on the t-shirt, depending how good of quality you have a t-shirt. This design is really cool for making kind of like a industrial, military, prison kind of feel to it. In a lot of military gear, it's kind of like the discharge printed in there. It's not screen printed in there like in real life. A lot of prison outfits are like that. I'll show you an example. This is another discharge print I did. It's kind of like I made a video about this a long time ago. It's kind of like a prison uniform that I made, like a dystopian theme, and it's referencing like prison uniforms because they're basically all discharge printed, because the prisoner cannot, rub out any of the ink and ruin the outfit, and it will last a longer time. This is like one of my favorite print methods. I don't use it often. I only use it for kind of very specific reasons because it has like this aesthetic quality to it. It's kind of hard to describe, but when you're designing stuff, you will, you got to pick the most appropriate one that you want to do. And we have a special bonus. We have embroidery. This isn't a screen printing method, but this is also something that you should consider when designing t-shirts. This one is the most 3D. It's basically on par with puff print. Like I'm feeling both of these right now, and they feel very, very close together in terms of their like tactile 3D quality. So this is also a good reference for what I'm talking about with puff print. I mean, it really feels like they're the same kind of thing. Embroidery can cost, it can be kind of more than screen printing depending on how many colors you use and how big your design is. Usually I make designs about, an inch, 2 inches big, and I put it in the left corner, like a pocket corner right here. And those kind of embroidery designs with a few colors, they actually cost, for me, they cost as much as screen printing. But when I do something bigger like this, even though it's one color, it is costing more than normal screen print. But I put this t-shirt in this video to kind of give you more of a comparison. And it's a good way for you to kind of get some ideas for how you want to design stuff. So anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you got value out of it. Let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite printing method. And if you have questions about which one you should use for a specific design, I can give you tips. But I think that overall in this video, it'll give you more of a clear picture of which one to use. If you're totally in doubt and you don't know what to do, you're going to be pretty safe going with just a normal screen printing method, and it's going to be the one that most shops use, and it's going to just be the easiest one. I've contacted a lot of shops in my neighborhood, and they don't even offer this printing method or this printing method. Not all shops do that. It might be harder for you to access that locally, but you will be able to access normal screen printing because that process is very well known and there's tons of knowledge of it. If you're ordering stuff internationally, you'll definitely find any of these printing methods. There are more printing methods, but they're not in this video and I haven't used them yet. These are the 3 primary ones. Anyways, hope you guys like this video and I'll catch you later. Thanks.